This is Core Christianity with Pastor Adriel Sanchez. Let's go to Matt calling in from Missouri. Matt, what's your question for Adriel?
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call. I was wanting to ask a question about Revelation 12, 13 through 17. It talks about the woman and the dragon, and it talks about Satan taking a third of the angels with him. But in Job, he still had access to heaven when he was tempting Job. When did he actually lose, like, his... I realized during the fall, but nobody really knows when the fall is. But when did he lose access to heaven?
Yeah, excellent question. So Revelation chapter 12, the woman and the dragon, a really interesting passage. Here, by the way, one of the things that Revelation 12 highlights for us is the book of Revelation shouldn't be read as this sort of sequential timeline of events, because you have what we call recapitulation in the book of Revelation, looking at these different scenes that happen throughout history over and over again, kind of in this cyclical way. And Revelation chapter 12 in particular focuses on the coming of the Messiah, on Satan's attack against Messiah Jesus, and also the church and the redemptive work of Jesus and what it accomplished, namely the excommunication of Satan, that is, his being cast down. Jesus, the strong man, has bound Satan. And so you have this woman with the dragon. There's, debate about, well, who's this woman? Is the woman the church, the people of God? That's one way of looking at it. There's some who make the argument that the woman is a reference to the Virgin Mary. Maybe you have a kind of a both and in this symbolic apocalyptic way, but clearly the child is the Son of God, Jesus. She gave birth to a male child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. They're essentially echoing Psalm 2. But her child was caught up to God and to his throne. There's the ascension. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God in which she is to be nourished for 1,260 days. Now there, the woman, I think, is a reference to the people of God, the church, being nourished, cared for, protected by the Lord. Now, here you have the redemptive work of Jesus on the earth, what's taking place and what we can see, what people could see with their eyes through his ministry and so forth, but also what was taking place in heaven. Of course, we know that his sacrifice, right? It reached the courts of heaven, we might say. That's what it purified. The author of the Hebrews talks about this. Verse 7, now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. So I think that defeat was contemporaneous with, that means happened at the same time as the redemptive victory of Jesus in his death and resurrection. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before God. And so when did that happen, which is your question? I think this took place at the same time that Jesus accomplished his redemptive work. That accomplishment, essentially what it did was it cast down our accuser. Now he has no argument against us. Our great advocate, Jesus, ascended into heaven, is there at the right hand of the Father. He ever lives to make intercession for us. And so the evil one doesn't get a word in. Thank you for your question.